Alright, Code Violet. Is this game any good, or is it as bad as people say it is? And I'll get into that in this review. Also, I will be giving my honest thoughts on what I think about the game. And without further ado, let's get into the review. So, as you guys can tell, is that this game is heavily inspired by Dino Crisis. And also by going through the game, as I could tell, is that there's other homages to other franchises as well. Which, to be honest with you, it was nice to see. But how does this game play? So the gameplay of this game is obviously it's a survival horror. So it does play similar to Dino Crisis, to Resident Evil, to like Dead Space. Actually, kind of like heavily did remind me a bit more of Dead Space because it does have that type of gameplay. Because how the creatures jump out at you, like how you're navigating like the world, like how you're going into like exploring the rooms and doing like certain puzzles, like getting a key or something like that. How you're going down the corridor and all of a sudden, you know, the dinosaurs jump out at you and stuff like that. So it did actually remind me more of Dead Space than Dino Crisis, to be honest with you. Which, to be honest with you, I did actually enjoy that part of the game. I do think the gameplay is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty fun to play. But I gotta point out something, is that this game is actually developed by 4 people, 4 brothers to be precise. Now, I do think that they did a very good job with this game, because it's only 4 people working on the game, so I do think they did a very good job. The problem is that for a game like this, for 4 people to be developing, it's too much work. So naturally, there's gonna be some quirkiness in the game, which obviously they would have taken some shortcuts as well. So, which actually brings me to the negative part of this game. The biggest negative is that this game can actually feel kind of stiff, and the animations are not good in this game. Because watching the way this is animated, it feels almost like this game is incomplete. But then again, what do you expect from 4 people that are trying to develop this game? Because like I said, the animations feel like when as you're watching this and playing the game, it almost feels incomplete because not only like the character you're controlling feels stiff, but also the enemies in the game. So the dinosaurs in the game actually do feel stiff, like when they jump, like there's no proper animations to it. Like it almost feels like you're playing a very, very old game. Like the animation quality is almost like in the level of, let's say, late PS1 to PS2 level, because like I said, like it almost feels like there's also missing animations. Like I said, when a dinosaur attacks you, sometimes there's like a missing animation to where, like, you know, the legs need to move a certain way and the arms need to move a certain way and stuff like that. Like it feels very stiff. And the game can feel at times very clunky, like almost like, you know, when you're playing a game, it feels kind of heavy. It does feel like that. And not only in the gameplay, but even in cutscenes. Like the game is, like in the cutscenes, the animations are very, very stiff and the characters feel wooden, to where even when they're trying to portray some emotions, it feels very wooden, and it can come out a bit of comedic because the animations are not very stiff. You guys know what I mean. So this is a very indie game. You know what I mean? So do not expect this to be AAA quality or anything like this. It's a very indie game, if you guys know what I'm getting at. And obviously they did not use motion capture for this, and you could tell because it's the animations are pretty sure they are all handmade, if you know what I mean. Like they didn't use anything like motion capture technology at all in this game. Now, could have the animations be better? Yeah, but what do you expect? Only 4 people working on this game. Like, of course they're gonna take some type of shortcuts, which is obviously where they took the shortcuts is obviously the animation, which is the biggest negative of this game, is the animations. Because graphically the game does look pretty good. I think it does look like a decent game. Like it does look beautiful at times as well. So yeah, graphically the game does look good. And that does also include the gameplay. Like I think the gameplay, the way they did it is actually, it is fun to play. Like if you do love like survival horror games, it is fun to play. But minus, it does have animation problems. But other than that, the gameplay is pretty good. But I have noticed, like when we're talking about also the performance is pretty good. But now I have encountered some bugs here and there, but nothing that's really game breaking. But yeah, there are some bugs, but overall the performance is actually pretty good, especially like, you know, for only 4 people developed this game, as I keep mentioning. So I think they did a very good job in the gameplay aspect. Also, when it comes to the story, I think the story, the narrative of the story, I think is pretty good, because when you start out in this game, you don't know anything, you don't know what's going on, or you don't know nothing. But as you progress through the game, you find a little bit like what's going on and stuff like that, until you get to the end of the game where you get the whole overall story, like you know exactly what's going on by the end of the game. But the way they got the story structured, I think the story and the narrative of this game does have potential. I think they can make a sequel after this. I really do think that. And you know what? I wouldn't mind a sequel, to be honest with you. Like, the game, it is fun to play. Like, they can even turn this into a franchise if they could. But like I said, it is only 4 people. So here's the thing. Here's what I want to say. I really hope that this game does sell to the point where they can hire more people to work on this. Because that way, if they do make a sequel, they can fix all the animation problems. You know, they can make a better quality game of what this is, if you guys know what I mean. So hopefully that does happen, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now, with all that being said, do I recommend this? If you guys like survival horror and like games like Resident Evil, Dead Space, and including Dino Crisis that has dinosaurs as enemies, I think you will like that. Like this game, I think you will. But as long as you don't mind the quirkiness in the game, I will say that. Because if you're expecting a AAA quality game, then you're not gonna get it here. But it is fun enough to what they made here. It is fun enough to play, but there are quirkiness and there are problems. It's not a perfect game by any means. But as I said, if you want a survival horror with dinosaurs in it, but you don't mind the problems, you will enjoy this game. I actually did enjoy this game, and I think people like that will enjoy the game. But like I said, do not expect this to be AAA, because if you want a AAA game of this, then you're probably not going to like this game. And I can't see people not liking these games, even though they do love survival horror, because it does have problems. So I can't see that. So anyway, that's enough from me. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And yeah, thank you for watching.